All right, what's up, everyone? Hopefully, you can hear me all right. My headphones are being a little funky. But hi, thanks everyone for joining. I have Trevor with me today. Trevor, say hi.
Hey everyone.
Can you hear me all right?
Yep, loud and
Cool,
clear.
cool. Awesome. We have a super duper fun program for you guys today. I'm so excited to do this with Trevor. Have a couple like little announcements and things I'm going to go over real fast and then we'll jump right in. So yeah, I got Joe in the background moderating. So thanks for that, Joe. Also, I have my phone here to see my notes. So if I keep looking away, that's why. Sorry. Let's see. So, okay, a couple of announcements. I just wanted to talk about our 201 group. We have a paid advanced group. And so, if you feel like you're ready to move on from just like the basic 101 stuff, kind of move beyond the basics, this group would definitely be for you. Joe will post a link in the comments. And so it's $9.99 a month, or you can do a yearly subscription for $89.99, and it codes as travel. So yeah. Okay, so that's pretty much all I have for announcements. I'm gonna just kind of jump right in here and I'll introduce Trevor in just a second. So we are going to be talking about reselling today. So I don't know like if you agree with me here, Trevor, but I feel like there's kind of like this natural progression that happens when you get into this like points and miles game.
Yeah. I think really when you look at it, right, you start off, using your regular spend for the sign up bonuses, and then you gradually kind of grow that sign up bonus spend that you actually need to, and you can't prepay your mortgage or your car insurance, that sort of thing, and then you start to look at one or the other, kind of that manufactured spending, which we don't talk as much about because it's gotten harder and harder, and then
For sure.
that kind of increasing your legitimate spending, and reselling is a way to increase that legitimate spending.
Yeah, for sure. I know like for me when I first started, it's like, you start out signing up for your little loyalty programs, and then like you get like cautiously kind of get like your first credit card, and then you're like, okay, I got this, and then you're like, oh, I need more. I need more and more and more. And then the next thing you know, like you're wanting to get all these cards, but you're like, I don't have enough bills to pay. I can only pay so many people's like lunches and get reimbursed before, before my pants don't fit. So, and then, you can run into that problem where like you run out of the ability to spend. You could obviously charge up your cards, but then it kind of negates like the whole points and miles, because you have some cards out there like the British Airways 100,000 offer. It's like 20,000 bucks, and you have a while to do it, but once you start adding in like 20,000 there, 5,000 here, they add up really fast, and you have to start getting like creative in ways to spend without spending. So for me, yeah, for sure, like my natural next step was to get into reselling. Is that kind of how it worked with you?
So yeah, gosh, it's gone back a while. So we've been doing this for over 8 years now, from a reselling standpoint. And we had originally gotten into it because we were doing the other thing and spending all that time at Walmart. And my wife was like, I got to do something better. And it also happened to be about the time where the Chase Freedom was in vogue. You were getting the 5 points per dollar for, quarterly. So one or two times a year, you were getting the 5 points per dollar for Kohl's, for example. And so what we found was is we could go through Kohl's, we could buy the gift card on Kohl's, and then we could go back through the portals and we could buy the product. And so we were essentially double or triple dipping on Kohl's stuff. And we found that worked out. Initially, our first year we only did about 16,000, but we started later in the year, and we just found that was, you got to try different things. The interesting thing now, though, is when we started, Amazon was kind of the wild west, right? It was easier to get in, get ungated. It was easier to get into, that sort of thing, and we'll get a little bit more into that stuff in a bit. But now there's so many other options, right? So we didn't get into gift card reselling very much, but that's still out there. I think that's high risk. Um, we see all these concerns about the different gift cards, being stolen or not having value, and trying to convert and everything. And then now there's these buying groups. And I don't, and I've said this on the podcast that we used to do with Joe Chung. I don't fully understand where these buying groups are sending things, but it's an opportunity where you can essentially have it shipped right to the buying group. In most cases, they'll pay you, full value. In some cases, they'll pay you more. There was a coin deal this afternoon.
Today,
yeah. Recording on March 11th, Thursday. There was a coin deal where they were paying as much as, I want to say it was hundreds of dollars, $100 or more per coin over the face value. So here you are getting, a few $1,000s spend, and you're making some money. And because you can kind of get that commitment before you actually make the purchase, if you're able to make the purchase, you're virtually no risk. I say virtually because
there's always a risk.
Yeah. I mean, my concern with the buying groups is the same thing that I had the concern and we saw with the plastic merchant on the gift cards, and that is these guys are taking in so many orders, and if they can't convert quickly enough, then the challenge that they run into is a cash flow issue, and if they have a cash flow issue, then you have a cash flow issue.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
So there's a lot of risk there. But I mean, if you kind of manage it well, then you've got less risk and less, I'll say, work than like doing a reselling business like what I do.
Yeah, it's kind of, I feel like buyers clubs, I'd call it like reselling light, right? Like it's a little bit, like less commitment, not as great of like rewards, obviously, with reselling, but still good rewards. It's like I said, like reselling light. I've been doing buyers clubs for quite a while now, which we can get into more in a little bit and stuff like that. But yeah, like you said, there is a risk with everything. And sorry, I just lost my notes. So my phone keeps locking. I'm like, no, stop. So anyway, okay. So you started reselling like 8 years ago. And I remember I met you, like a long time ago. And did we meet in, it was like Dia's thing, wasn't it? Was that what it was? You spoke at the
so I think
Points
I
for
did.
Family Travel.
Yeah, over in McLean, over at Tyson's Corner.
Yes. I think
yep.
And did I? Okay, so I met you there. I met a few people there that I've like stayed close to all these years and stuff. But I went there. Yeah, my daughter was like just this little baby. And then I think her next meetup, I can't remember if you were at that one. It was in Dallas. And I think we both spoke at that one. Or did you not speak?
I don't know that I got to the Dallas one. I know that I know that Dia was kind enough to share that contact for that hotel because we ended up hosting a reselling do there. I think the year before last.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But I don't think I made it to her event, unfortunately. But yeah, that one in Tyson's, we met each other. I met Richard. The founder of the group, right?
Yeah.
So that was a pretty seminal moment for at least from a networking standpoint and everything. And we did talk about that. A lot of different options on reselling. I don't know how detailed you want to. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I think you were getting ready to do like your first do just soon after that, or like you announced it soon after that. But I remember you were the first person that I was like, wait, like you can do that? It was really like eye-opening to me. And I remember talking to someone at dinner and I was like, I just want to make like $500 extra a month. And she was like, oh my gosh, like so easy. And I was like, wait, what? And she's like, yeah. And I just remember being like, what? So yeah, it's pretty crazy. Sorry. Okay. So what were you saying?
It is. No. And I don't know how detailed we want to go, but really the idea of doing reselling, you've got a few different options. If you're going to kind of do it like on an eBay or a Craigslist or a Facebook Marketplace or an Amazon, and you've got a couple of different ideas, right? So you've got retail arbitrage where you're going into the store and you're scanning items, right? So Amazon will give you an app, and if you
that's what I did.
And the cool part is if you're not really sure that you want to really get into it before going through the whole application process, you can just get the regular Amazon app that you buy your regular stuff at, and there's a way to scan barcodes, and you can scan and you can look at the ranks, and you can sort of get an idea. If you figure that you're only going to make you probably pay about a third to half in fees, right? So
So much.
if you're doing, yeah, that's the one problem with FBA is for some of the things between shipping into Amazon, which is usually not too expensive, probably $20 for a 50-pound box. You're talking less for smaller boxes because they usually do dimensional. And then Amazon gets its 3 to 7% fee, and then the marketplace fee, all those different fees. So if you just figure that what you buy, 1/3 of that sell price on Amazon should be your cost, no more than about a third.
Right.
And that's just back of the paper napkin sort of thing.
Oh, yeah. So really fast, I want to backtrack just a tiny bit and then go right back to this. So I kind of realized we were just like talking about reselling. This is what happens like when you do it so often, you kind of like almost assume everyone just knows what you're talking about. So when we're talking about reselling, we're talking about, buying merchandise, whether that's like Trevor just said, like arbitrage, retail arbitrage, just a few different ways, and we'll get into that more. But essentially you are buying merchandise and whatever that means to you, and finding a way to resell it. So you get the spend, you get the points, hopefully you are making some cash, and then you're reselling it and recouping those costs and things, and just this perpetual points machine and stuff. So there's a few different ways to do that. And so Trevor is talking about Amazon FBA right now, which means fulfilled by Amazon. And this is a pretty big one for resellers, I feel like, because it's one of the ways. So you can sell with FBA on Amazon, or you can do merchant fulfilled where you do the work yourself. The fees are lower, but it's really, really hard to scale up the volume. So a lot of people in the end, like, I feel like everyone fights it at first, like, no, I'm just gonna do merchant filled. Like, I'm gonna do what I can keep up. And then you try and you're like, just kidding. Okay, let's do FBA. So Trevor's talking about FBA right now. And like he was saying, the fees, with Amazon equate to about like a third of, how do you say it? Like, yeah, however you explained it better.
Yeah. So, so effectively, if you look at a price of something, right? Like, let's say spices, right? So you look at a McCormick spice and it's selling for $12. You probably don't want to pay more than $4. Now, that's not a hard and fast rule. The app will tell you really what the profit calculation is, but that's the easiest sort of rule of thumb is that between Amazon and you want to have some level of profit, because you don't want to get into this if you're not going to make money, because it's actually work, right? Even if you do the Amazon fulfillment, and it's funny you mentioned, starting with the merchant fulfill. I didn't. We said, we don't want to deal with that. We both have full-time jobs, my wife and I. And so we said, we're going to just do fulfillment by Amazon, send it out, boom, done. We ended up changing that in 2020 because the whole, the whole infrastructure and logistics just came to a screeching halt in April. Amazon was losing boxes left and right. And the reality was that we were home. So we had, we weren't losing the time of the commutes. And so we ended up going into merchant fulfill. And I will just tell you that the, unfortunately, fortunately or fortunately, this past Q4, which essentially, the holiday season, was a lot more painful, but it was less hard on the back, right? So I say that jokingly. Right. So every weekend we packed roughly 250 unique packages. 250 to 300. I think our UPS guy, because he'd tell us to tally, I think the highest we did was 367 unique packages, and we filled up his truck.
Intense. Yeah, that's intense.
Now, in previous years, what we would do is we'd fill up the garage every weekend with product that we bought, but we'd pack it in bulk, and then we'd send it into Amazon that way. And we'd still fill his truck up, but then we were talking about, thousands of pounds worth of product in that regard. And it gets a little bit bulkier, heavier, that sort of thing. And it takes a little bit more time for Amazon to receive it and then put it on sale. So it is just sort of funny, the two different angles that you have depending upon how you want to do it. But it's probably getting a little bit too in the weeds on working with Amazon.
There, it's funny, like, because now that we're talking about it, like before I was like, oh yeah, we're gonna be able to cover like everything, and now we're talking about, I'm like, oh my gosh, and yes, and this and that, like there's a lot to cover. But fortunately, it is pretty, getting into it, I feel like, is actually pretty easy, and it's a good thing to, I mean, you need like a certain level, a standard of like certain level of understanding to get in, but I think a lot of it, like, you just have to finally start, and then you learn as you go. For me, I feel like that was, the most I learned was like actually doing it, the application of doing it. But also I'm
Absolutely.
kind of like, yeah, I'm kind of like, I get really into my head. So I'll talk myself out of things. I'll just be like, oh, what about this? What about that? And finally I was just like, you know what, just do it and figure it out as you go. And I started out smaller and then just, scaled my way up. And it was, so I actually don't sell on Amazon at all anymore. I did for several years. And so we can kind of lead into the different kind of reselling and stuff here. So I did more of the retail arbitrage. So I would like go around to not grocery stores, because I wasn't ungated in grocery, which ungating. So you can't just sell anything on Amazon. You have to get like special permission for certain things. And we can talk a little bit more about that soon too. But so, I would just head to the store. And I, just like use my little Amazon app. What is it called? Just the Amazon seller app.
Yep. Just a seller app.
Yeah, you can download it for free. And, I just like scan things, and that's kind of a learning curve, I feel like, because you might find something that you're like, oh, wow, it's so great. But kind of like understanding the ranks and the different categories, like you get a feel for it, and you like kind of start knowing what'll sell, or maybe like why the rank is so low, or well, like there's a lot, but it's not that complicated, I swear.
And the other thing is there's sub ranks too.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you could be looking in something that's health and beauty. The seller app will say that it's number 10 in health and beauty, but it could really be number 10 in health and beauty sub rank lipstick.
Yeah. Or like red lipstick with a matte finish, or like something really like random that no one is looking for. And you're just, yeah, totally hidden away. So you go to the store, I would go to the store and I'd like scan little items, and it was kind of cool because I feel like I just really started getting like a knack for like what things were going to sell. But another cool thing was I also started getting really good at finding things that like had horrific listings, and I would like go in and like fix the listings and make them good, and was able to sell a lot of things that way. My next step though, I actually got really into like bundling and making my own listings and stuff. And so that was a lot of fun for me, because first of all, like you face little competition. So it's kind of a cheating way. Like one of the things that you run into with selling on Amazon is like, we call it the race to the bottom. So like, let's take what's been a huge toy that everyone, oh, I know, not a toy. Those lights on the house, the star shower lights. Did you
Oh,
ever
yes.
do? Okay. So like
Yep,
a few years ago, those were just like the golden ticket to like amazing. So I snagged a few and I sent them into Amazon. And I mean, I spent like, they were probably like $30 retail. And these things were selling for like $140 a pop, right? So I'm sending them in. I sell like one at that price. And then slowly they're getting more inventory. So my price is going down and down. And then the next thing you know, everyone's like, just take my inventory, like $10, just don't make me stuck with this any longer. So you get this race to the bottom. So what you could do is you could bundle the item. So you have this really popular item and you could add like, I don't know, a pen that somehow is related to the star shower light. That's a terrible example. And make your
or you
own
could
listing.
just bundle in multiples, right?
Or
So
you could
you could
bundle
say
multiples too.
yeah.
And then you shave on shipping and different fees and stuff like that. So I loved bundling. And I found a lot of different, options. I found it like a lot of fun on my creative side. I found that I got a lot less returns when I bundled, weirdly enough. But yeah, so sorry, I feel like I'm like all over the place here. We got a few questions too. Okay, so that was kind of the extent of me though. So I did the store stuff where you go in the store, I'd get online and get it and then pack my own boxes, ship it into FBA, sell it that way. But so that's like kind of level 1, level 2, right? And so now there's like another level, which is probably what you're doing, where you're getting like wholesale accounts, right? And things like that.
Yeah. So we don't have as many wholesale accounts. What we find is a wholesale approach is generally, if you do it right, you've got to really scale a lot higher. And in some cases, you start out with buying, whatever the minimum quantity is, see whether it's good. And then you start buying by the pallet. And I don't have a loading dock or a shipping dock, so I haven't gotten into that. Um, but there's other ways you can do it, right? You can private label. So your bundling is sort of like private labeling, except that you're not the brand owner, right?
Yeah, I think we
You're
used
not buying
to.
something. Yeah.
Yeah, we refer to it as like the poor man's private label, because you
That
didn't have
does.
to like go out and brand it and all this stuff. You just kind of did it yourself.
Exactly. And so I think we had a question about fixing listings, right? So if you go to an Amazon listing, what you see as a customer is not exactly everything that we see as a seller. So it might be that the listing has different problems with it, doesn't have sufficient information. If you can tweak that listing, give a little bit more detail, maybe the measurements are going to be required, but maybe a little bit more detail in the description. You'll notice that there's some brands that have just beautiful pages, right? Like if you look at Lego, they have like just a very professionally built Lego page for most of the Lego products. And then you might see like a third party Lego created page, and it doesn't even have pictures of how the Lego looks built. So you can go in, you can add the images, you can build that page better, and that can generally help in getting the listing to be a little bit more popular and increase that rank.
Yes, definitely with the picture thing, like sometimes, I mean, you as a consumer, like I always try and think like what the consumer thinks, right? So like you get on a listing and you see just like a total, just like garbage picture and you're like, I don't want that. Like, no, I don't care if it's a good price or whatever. Like next, I mean, we've all done it. I guarantee you, you've seen like two products, maybe one's a little more expensive, exact same product, and the picture sucks. And you're just like, that looks like gross. So yeah, no, like, so you can hop on and you can take your own pictures and you can update it. Like sometimes there's a little bit of a process, like you might have to, well, and I'm kind of out of like the loop here. I don't know if you still, I'm assuming you would, but you'd have to get like permission or have Amazon replace the picture on the listing. But yeah.
So essentially you make suggestions, right? So you'll make your edits and then Amazon will say, thank you for that. In some cases, they'll do a voting. I haven't been part of like the voting for any of the, any of the listings, but I've got friends that have been. If we could circle back, I think there were a couple of questions that popped up. I think Larry Hawks had asked a little bit about the restrictions and the gating. So at the very highest level, the things that are ungated are generally, I think it's electronics, and then a subset of toys are ungated. Although if you don't sell toys before, I think it's August or September or October 1st, September, October 1st, then you're gated for selling toys if you're going to fulfill yourself. But I think you can still FBA it. Grocery, health and personal care, automotive, those are some of the ones, and clothes and shoes. All those are gated at the start. And so
jewelry.
Yep, jewelry as well. And then there are subsets under that, such as you might have premium or luxury health and beauty. Now I can't even get the luxury health and beauty.
Really?
Yeah. And then there's also separate brands, right? So you'll find that there are some brands that you just can't do. There was one that was
Apple?
an Amex offer. Yeah, Apple's a great one. There's a subset that Nike had for a point been able to get some of the Nike products as pretty much locked down. There's I think a subset of Samsung, but Apple's the greatest example. And we used to do, I mean, hundreds of thousands of dollars of Apple years and years ago.
That was like my bread and butter. I sold so much Apple. And then when I got out was when they just really started clamping down. And I was just like, oh my gosh, like you guys have stopped letting me sell everything, which is not true, by the way, because obviously Trevor is still going crazy. But I definitely, I had enough of it, but we can talk about more later.
Well, and Apple was a riskier option too. And we got burned by that. We sold the old Apple, it's not an iPod. It was it was like the Apple size, the iPhone sized iPod, right? I can't even remember what it is. iPod Touch. That's it. iPod Touch. And we sold a 32 gig and somebody returned a 16 gig. And it took 2 months going back and forth with Amazon to essentially say, hey, these guys scammed us. They returned the wrong thing. And then Amazon made us whole. So that was sort of a positive, but
Yeah.
there was a lot of risk there where it got to the point where you were taking down serial numbers and you were taking photos of it, because otherwise Amazon was gonna, you could have lost thousands, right? And we had one just before we got out. We had Sam's Club was doing a really good deal on iPad Pros. No, regular iPads, just the larger ones, like 256 gig. And one person returned it and it was a complete dead, but they had done the Find My iPhone feature on it. And so Apple just wouldn't do anything for us.
Yeah,
right?
there's nothing you can do.
Exactly. And Amazon would do nothing for us. So we ended up losing $1,000 on that.
Okay, so funny story. Oh, sorry.
I was just going to say, not a great thing to share, but there are risks to it, but it is a business. So you make money, you have the risk of losing money, and oh, by the way, you've got another excuse to get more credit cards.
Exactly. Okay, so speaking of scams, funny story, this watch right here. So I was reselling these Nike Apple watches when they first came out, and they were like hotcakes. Okay, I don't know why no one else was selling them, but I was like the only seller, and I was buying them for like $300 and I'm selling these for like $550, $600 on Amazon. Like, it was awesome. So yeah, but it was awesome, but it wasn't awesome because this is also part of the reason I got out of Amazon. So first one happened, I sent the watch in, buyer bought it and everything, and they returned it. And you always hate seeing returns with these because like if they rip the packaging at all, like take the plastic off, then you have to sell it as used, and you're just like, let it be like in good condition. So I get the watch back, except it is a fake little watch from Walmart, just like it has like the price tag on it still, just to be like spiteful. It was like $8.99. And I was just like, why? No. And, I had heard about these scams before, but I had sold on Amazon long enough that I was like, they're just really unlucky. And then it happened to me and I was just like wrecked. So fortunately, Amazon actually sided with me. I was really surprised about that. And I ended up, turning a good situation or a bad situation good. So then I get another scam like a week later, and I send the watch and Amazon sends the watch and everything like that. And I get a return and I'm like, no, not again. I just got through this. And they return it and I get it and it's totally opened and everything. And there's the watch. They just took the charger. Like, they kept the charger and returned the watch. I was like, okay, that's like rude. But so same story, they kept the Find My iPhone or whatever. They had already like connected their Apple ID. So there was nothing I could do. Like, I called Apple, Amazon. People were like, well, try emailing the buyer and see. So I emailed the buyer a few times, like nothing happened. Okay. So essentially I have this like expensive paperweight. But anyways, funny story, long story short, like a year and a half later, I pulled it out one day. My son wanted to like play with it or whatever. So I plugged it in and I was like, I'm just going to try it. Why not? And it worked. And he had like taken off a year and a half later, undid the Apple ID thing. So now I have an Apple Watch. So back to the whole like scamming things. Let's just go right into that then. There's so much to talk about. Scams. Okay. It's a risk that you have to deal with. Cost of doing business. For sure. If you run your business right, for the most part, you can kind of, compensate for those, although they're never fun. How often do you feel like you get scammed? Do you feel like it's really common?
Not as frequently. I don't think we get scammed nearly as frequently as we used to. What we find now is that, and I hate even saying it, but people will get refunds for missed delivery promise, that sort of thing, and so generally Amazon will reimburse us of that if nothing's ever returned. It's just it ends up holding our money for let's say 45 or 90 days rather than getting it kind of sooner. Yeah, I mean, you still get the occasional thing where it's completely switched out or it's completely opened. The interesting thing on the merchant fulfill side is you can do you can do like restocking fee sort of requests. On the FBA side, we pull everything back. If it gets returned, it doesn't matter whether they think it's good. We just want it all back. And I'd say probably about 60% of those we end up having to put in tickets to Amazon. We just got a Lego Sanctum Sanctorium from Infinity War. It's it's a no longer being made Lego that is going for like $250, and it's just completely destroyed. The actual figures themselves, or the Lego bags are fine, but the outside box is so destroyed that it's just not even sellable as a collectible in horrible condition. So, I mean, those things suck. We haven't gotten a determination from Amazon on that, but I'm not optimistic. So, you get a little bit of a variance there, but we did used to do DJI Phantom Drones, and probably the worst return I've ever gotten was a $1,000 drone. Ended up selling it for almost $2,000. Somebody was very vindictive. They took everything out of the drone. So they took the controller, they took all the wire harnesses inside, they took the battery, they took all that stuff. I mean, like literally they unwired this plastic drone, and they put the drone in with a pack of the filler paper that you have for a binder into the box, and they send it in. It took us 2 or 3 months to get reimbursed. Amazon comes back and says, okay, well, how much are the different pieces to get this? And we'll just reimburse you the pieces so you can sell, a new thing again. And so we go through the whole basis bill of materials of what it would be, all that other stuff. And finally, Amazon just said, fine, here's the money. I mean, so that was thankful. Yeah. But it's funny. I was looking for that for this Zoom, and I couldn't find it. I keep it as a trophy of the travails of the business. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I think that it's important to be like honest about the scams, but I also feel like that's one reason that people like, that was one of the reasons I was really afraid to like sell electronics. Cause I'm just like, all I hear are the horror stories. It's like eBay, number one, and then Amazon electronics, like Apple. And so I was like really hesitant. So it took me a while to scale up and stuff. And yes, I did get scammed twice. Sorry, someone's calling me. Go away. Okay. I did get scammed twice, but really like in all the time that I worked on Amazon or worked with reselling, very, very few scams. It was really great. I quit more for just like the burnout. I just got super burned out and sick of playing in Amazon's playground. Cause like every other day, I swear they were like, oh, you can't sell this now. Oh, you can't sell that. You got to pull it. And I was just like, oh, no more. You're killing me.
Yeah, we get a lot of that. I mean, one of the cool things though about Amazon is that they do have different. They have like Amazon sites for so many different countries, right? So I think we had a question about opportunities in Canada. Yeah. And there was a period of time, and I don't even know how the heck I turned it on, but there was a period of time where we were actually selling on Amazon Canada. And we were getting, the reason we stopped was because of the different tax structure. But I've got a friend that I think is doing a 7-figure business, and he left his job and I think he's almost entirely on Amazon Canada. Now he might send some stuff to the US. I don't know for a fact, but it's an interesting dynamic because you'll see prices on other Amazon marketplaces that might be significantly more, right? So you might think something that we can get here, on Amazon US is not a good product, but maybe UK or Germany, if you want to do that, or Canada, you might be able to get a higher value. The challenge is if you want to deal with the taxes, all that other fun stuff. And the regulatory side is just not an exciting thing for me. So I try to, it's not something I get into. But even not talking Amazon, Facebook Marketplace is a pretty easy, thing to try. Sorry, seeing the pop-up question.
Yeah, I saw it too. We're both all.
But like Facebook Marketplace is an easy way to try just, hey, do you actually want to try to do something? Because you can actually buy your shipping through Facebook Marketplace. They'll give you the shipping label. It's USPS. USPS usually does pickups if you just put in a pickup request. I mean, it's kind of like, Amazon Lite or Merchant Fulfilled Lite. You just don't have the ability to hop on existing listings. You got to create your own each time. So if you're like the creative person that would have, like you said, go into Amazon and make your own listings or fixed listings, then Facebook Marketplace could be your option. It's not always perfect, but it's something to try. There was I did some Amazon echoes on the marketplace, and I didn't sell all of them, but I sold a handful. And so, some of those things really do work. What we'll do now is we'll sell our returns on the marketplace and try to eke out some level of profit, or just not have as much loss.
Yeah, exactly. And that's kind of a nice, like have a backup plan. Like just because you get a return or something doesn't mean you have to completely take that loss. Like I think even like tax write-offs, if that's like the worst case scenario, or you can donate it to charity and write it off that way, different things like that. So that's nice. Like there's a lot of risk, but you can really manage those risks if you're smart about it and everything, for sure. So and there's so many resources out there to learn these different things. Like I found some incredible resources when I was doing this. Like I still can't get over how many awesome resources are out there. And there's like some kind of scammy ones too,
Well, and that's the challenge, right? So just like in any kind of industry, the gurus is what we jokingly call them.
Yep.
But there are some good Facebook groups out there. We have one that I run with a couple of friends, and there are a lot of resources. I was going to say, so we talked a lot about the risks, but we didn't really talk as much about the rewards.
The reward, yeah.
So I think, obviously the biggest one is the increased legitimate spend. Now it's hard to really put into perspective how much you can spend on a business like a reselling business. Now there's the tax, and the business side, unfortunately, that you got to worry about, but you can get a fair amount. So we've actually spent our way to the Southwest Companion Pass. We've, rounded out our globalist status since the World of Hyatt card has come out. Now we don't do the full thing. We might just get, a few nights, sometimes a little bit more. We've gotten I think we've gotten 3 American Express Business Platinum 100,000 signups. Awesome. Back when the American Express Executive Card came out, we got 770,000 American Advantage miles in the course of just the first 6 or 7 months of that card being out. Now, that's the other thing. Just because it's a business, you could use personal cards. Now, it's a little bit frowned upon. However, we do it. So what we do is we just say,
I did.
Yeah, exactly. What we'll just say is this card is exclusively for the business. This card is exclusively for personal. And we do that with some of our cards, like the Hyatt card.
Yeah. Do you think and I feel like there's a time where it's more acceptable to do that than not, right? Like in the beginning, I feel like it makes more sense to kind of like do a card here or there, but I can see with like such a huge scale that you're doing, it would make more sense to just like easier to track and stuff, to just do it kind of more like on one card and stuff. Do you think that's kind of the case for the most part?
I don't know. I try to spread things out. I try to spread things out as much as I can. Even Southwest, I just don't feel comfortable. Like, I'm not going to max out cards, whether it's personal or business. It's just not my style. We'll do it occasionally. We'll do it occasionally in the in Q4, but we also never cycle. Ever cycle.
Yeah, that's interesting. Even with legitimate spend and stuff, you're like not doing it.
Exactly. I just don't trust that.
Well, and if you don't need to, then don't do it. It's awesome.
Exactly. Yeah. And there was a question: how much do we spend weekly or monthly on the business? It really varies. This time of year, between the fact of the stimulus or the relief bill kind of, lagging, we saw a huge drop off. But, in Q4, it's not unreasonable to spend, six figures in
Yeah.
the period from Veterans Day to just before Christmas. We'll spend even more if things are moving the right way.
Yeah, when I was selling on Amazon, my Q4 sales, like just those 3 months, October, November, December, would be like as much as I did like for the rest of the year. Q4 was always a fun, and you can make any time of year amazing, right? Like with as much effort as you put into it and stuff, you can do really big things. But Q4 is like a little bit more of a low-lying fruit where it's really easy to do. And I always loved Q4. I was like, oh yeah, mama's making money this month.
Yeah. We usually end up doing about somewhere between a third of our business in just from November to December.
That's so awesome. Okay, well, we're like running out of time already. This is so crazy. So what I want to do is I want to answer a few questions that people are asking, but I want to like do like a quick, like kind of fun Q&A thing with you really fast, just like some random silly questions about like selling on Amazon. So just, quick little answer, whatever. And you guys like leave us your questions. We'll take as much time as we can to answer questions. So ask them now while we go through this really fast. Okay, so here's a couple of my questions. Okay, so what was your best ROI, or like, what was if it's like right now or a secret sauce, you don't have to share it, but what's like something that you're just like, it was so crazy, I made so much money?
Okay. So this is public, so I can't really say the best one.
Okay.
I will say vaguely, there was a multi-level marketing scheme that I think has actually been outed as a multi-level marketing scheme, that we were reselling their products for quite some time. And that was actually really, really good. I'm not going to say the name just because I don't know what what the litigation
legality
are.
Or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. We ended up stopping doing it because we got like a one of those nasty letters. But I mean, we were
cease and desist.
Yeah. I think for one single product, I think we made like 30K in 6 months of profit. So, obviously we were on their radar for a reason, but, there's,
That's
the thing
crazy.
is there's some things that are seasonal, some things that are not, that you can do really well. But, but yeah, that one, personal care item was very good. Very good to us.
So this makes mine look like ridiculous, but I'm going to share it anyway because I'm proud of it. So I found these, like, do you remember when like Shopkins were all the rage? Do you remember Shopkins? Oh my gosh. So I went to Sears one day and they had like this huge display of like Shopkins earrings and coloring books and stuff. And I mean, it was like discounted already at like 70% off, like this huge display. And the manager's like, I was like looking at them like, and I'm looking at the listings on Amazon and I'm like, and the manager was like, I'll sell you this whole thing for like, I'll give you another like 20% off. Plus I had already had like discounted Sears gift cards, because this was back in the day where you could just like make rain at Sears, right? So I was like, okay, I'm going for it. So I did it. So I ended up bundling this like stupid little earrings with like a coloring book or a pen, a Shopkins pen. And I think I ended up paying, it was like 80-90 cents a bundle, and I sold those stupid things for like 24 $25 a pop, and I didn't get a single return. So that was my best like ROI and stuff, and it was just a fun silly little thing that I did that I was not expecting to get that big of a return, and I sold a lot of them, so that was kind of fun.
I remember
totally not
those
as cool as
listings.
yours. Yeah. Oh, good times. Okay, what's the weirdest item you've ever resold on Amazon?
The weirdest.
Yeah, I feel like us like arbitragers that go in the store are the ones that like sell the weird things, because you're like, well, it's on sale, it's selling. Whereas like when you're private labeling, probably not as much, but you gotta have something.
Yeah. So there was this, and I can't remember what the name of it was, but it's a silicone thing for mac and cheese. It was on clearance at Walmart, and I didn't quite understand it, but the math worked. So I just remember having like a cart full of these latex or whatever, the kind of flexible flexible blue like silicon stuff
Yeah.
for making mac and cheese. It's like something that college kids, were using. Weirdest thing. I mean, I've probably sold other weird things, but that's the one that stands
But that's the one
out to
that
me.
stands out.
Yep,
Yeah.
exactly.
Oh,
How
I
about
love it.
you?
I think, okay. I Man, this is tough. Like, you think I would have known. I know I can't think of like anything specifically, but I know there were several times like my kids and I would be sitting around and they'd be like, but like, who buys this? And I was like, you know what? There are people out here that buy it. I did buy these like grown men's like kitty cat Christmas pajamas that had like lights and stuff. And that was kind of before it was funny, It was like still a little weird when I found them. So maybe those probably. So I don't know. I kind of feel like the Shopkins things were a little weird too. Like they were just so dumb. Like here's a ugly little coloring book and some plastic earrings for $25. Sure, why not? Like so.
Well, Shopkins were just like one of those really popular things
They were crazy.
I mean, yeah, absolutely
Yep.
incredible.
Oh my gosh, I love it. Okay, so let's see. What's one of your biggest reselling mistakes?
Oh, okay. Biggest reselling mistakes. Oh gosh.
Do you want me to go first?
Yes.
Okay.
Go first.
Okay, so this is just like the dumbest thing, and it's so funny, and I laugh so hard to this day. I was actually selling some things on eBay. I don't remember what it was. It was probably like my kids' Christmas stockings that they really wanted to keep, and then I realized I could sell them on eBay, and they were heartbroken. I'll use that money to pay for their therapy. It's fine. Anyway, so I sold something on eBay and I was like, I had packaged it all up, but I hadn't taped it yet. And I ran out of the room for a second. And for like, if anyone doesn't know, I have 4 kids and they're younger. Well, they were younger. They're getting old now. But anyway, so I ran out of the room for a second with like these babies and I came back in to finish packaging, got my eBay package and I shipped it off. So like 2 weeks later, I get this package in the mail and there's like a card and a letter and I open it and there's like all these Visa gift cards. And it has this like kind of like snarky, rude letter. Like, I don't know what you're trying to play that and why you would send these to me, but I checked the balances and they're empty anyway. Anyway, I realized my kids had like shoved Visa gift cards in the package and I had sent her all these and I was just like, oh my gosh. So that was my good one.
So I don't have something as funny as that, but I bought this this coffee, and it was I can't remember the name of it, but I bought this coffee, and I had found a listing. I'd found 2 listings. One was a 2-pack, one was a 1-pack, and I was like, oh, excited. So I did a number of 2-packs and a number of 1-packs, and for one reason or another, the 2-packs were selling at like 4x the price of the 1-pack. So I did a bunch of those. I bought pallets. I mean, I bought over 1,000 pounds of this coffee, and I start getting a bunch of returns. Well, it turns out the 2-pack was the bean and the 1-pack was ground, and I had the ground. And for some reason, just the listing was so bad that I hadn't noticed the difference.
Oh no.
That was one of those, that was
Panic.
a goofball mistake. Yes. It's still, the
my
amazing part
gosh.
though is that I probably sold like 50 units and I only got like 4 or 5 returns. So I guess,
Oh my gosh.
40,
You're like,
45 other people are like, well, I thought I got beans, but this is good enough.
this is good enough. Like, it works, whatever. I'm not picky. Oh my gosh. That is so amazing. Yeah. I love these stories. I wish I could remember all of them because I know I have so many good ones, but just off the top of my head. Okay, let me see. I think we have time for one more quick question and then we'll look at some of the questions people have asked. So we did weirdest. Something crazy that Amazon lost. Okay, I'll give you an example. My very first shipment into FBA, I was selling, this was like 6 years ago. I had petunia pickle bottom diaper bags. They were like all the rage, right? So I had these diaper bags and I mean, they're big diaper bags, right? And I had a ton of them and I had these huge boxes that I shipped out to FBA. And I had like $2,400 worth of merchandise. That's what it would have sold for. Like I didn't pay that much. So, this was like a pretty big first deal. Like I was like, oh, I don't even know what I'm doing, but oh my gosh. So I sent them and Amazon like got them, but never got them. So I'm like waiting, like frantically waiting and waiting. And they managed to lose like 2 giant boxes full of huge diaper bags. So in the end, they reimbursed me, and they reimbursed me for more than what I paid for them because they were going off of like some random value or whatever. So I was like so happy they lost those boxes. I was like, good, don't ever find them. But yeah, so Amazon lost 2 gigantic boxes of diaper bags.
So I have two answers for you. One of them, Amazon. So I think Amazon's lost 3 pallets, and there's also 2 pallets currently in addition that are missing that I'm trying to get compensated for. So you can imagine the values there. And then they also lost a 3D printer. This is back before 3D printers were like super exciting.
Cheap and available.
Yeah. Well, yeah. This was like a $500 3D printer, and they did reimburse us. They made us more than whole. I'll say it that way. But yeah, the pallets are killer. I mean, you'd think that it'd be hard to lose a 6 foot tall pallet, but
yeah, that's how I felt. I was like, how did you lose those? But it happens. But like it worked out in the end. So like I said, I was like, please don't find the diaper bags because I won't make as much money if you do. So
yeah. They lost a NutriBullet from the old Kohl's days. Like we're talking 8 years ago. And like, I want to say it was two or 3 years ago. I just happened to get a removal order of a brand new NutriBullet Pro, and like if I went through the whole reports and stuff, and essentially they had found one of the things that they had lost back in like 2014. So be careful.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, be careful, right? Oh, they can try and take my Petunia pickle bottom money. Try it. I dare you. Awesome. Okay. Well, all right. We got like 6 minutes left. So let's run through a couple of these questions really fast. Do you want me to just like read them and you can throw in an answer? If I have any input, I'll throw it in.
Yeah, that works.
Okay. So I think we left off about here. Leanne wants to know, oh, this is like a lot. What do you look for in purchasing? I recently donated $1,600 worth of Van Heusen, I use it, items. I paid $143 for. I found a crazy sale, living in tax-free New Hampshire. This interests me, and I'm willing to see how it could be mutually beneficial.
So clothes are really hard. Clothes are really hard. I've done Lucky Jeans, and some work, some don't. It's a question of sizes. It's a question of a lot of different things. I exclusively use a Scoutify app. Yes, exactly. I use a Scoutify app that tells me, what sub rank and everything on clothes, and I won't touch anything higher than like 80K. Yeah. I think from a starting out standpoint, toys are usually pretty easy. They're
electronics
are, but for the higher dollar ones, definitely take down the serial number. I mean, there's that kind of balance, right? So you've got, if you're trying to get a lot of spend, you want to go with the expensive electronics, but the expensive electronics are the higher risk for loss. So you just have to take a little bit more precaution.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry, we can't get into like a ton of details, but maybe we can, ask your question in the comments, or it is in the comments, but we can try and reply later or something. So there's just, so much awesome stuff to this. Maybe one day down the road.
Oh no. Oh no.
Oh, wait. Okay, there you go. We good?
Yep. Oh no. Oh no.
Okay, we good? No? Oh,
yeah.
I think it's me. Oh my gosh, sorry. I came to my parents so I wouldn't have to have internet issues, and it just follows me wherever I go. So sorry, guys. Okay. So Larry wants to know, when Amazon decides to restrict a brand or category, they give you advance notice so you have a chance to liquidate your inventory, or is it a no notice, you can't sell this anymore? Both.
Right? Yeah, both. I mean, in some cases they'll give you 12 hours. In some cases they'll say, oh yeah, we restricted it this morning. It's unfortunate you are at Amazon's mercy.
Yeah. Just to, and I know we don't have much time left, but just to throw in something, I was selling these like stupid poopsie unicorn things, and they were selling really well. And all of a sudden Amazon like pulled everyone's listing saying they had to like investigate. This was during Q4. It took like 2 months for them to investigate. And by that time, no one cared about them anymore. So we all got screwed over while Amazon was still able to sell theirs. And then so then we could sell them. And then like a week later, they sent us a new thing saying like, oh, hey, you can't sell these anymore. So I actually just yesterday, I gave one to my daughter finally, like years later. I'm like, okay, you know what? Yeah, you can have it now. I think it's time. Like I finally have given up. So stupidest toy ever. But so yeah, you're just kind of at their mercy.
We've seen Amazon do that in some cases, and it just seems borderline criminal. In my
it really does. And it can be really frustrating sometimes, but you gotta just grow and have a backup plan. Always have a backup plan. Okay, Kevin Harkin says, how much time each week do you spend on your reselling business? And are you busy enough that you could hire staff to do most of the work?
It varies. I mean, I'd probably put between my wife and I, we probably put 80 to 100 hours in a week in Q4. I mean, 8 to 10 hour days on the weekends, and then it's like a second working day on the weekdays. This time of year, I probably spend about 10 minutes a day because we do a little bit of merchant fulfill. I don't really count how much time I spend looking for product because I kind of do that interspersed. I might look for product as I'm eating dinner or that sort of thing. I get emails. I'll get an email alert. I'll look at it. Do I buy or do I not buy? Boom. And then pre-pandemic, I'd probably spend 10 to 20 hours a week myself, and then my wife would probably spend another 10 to 20 hours.
That's not too bad though, like considering.
No. And it's kind of hobby-ish, right? So like the majority of the time that I'd spend would be walking through stores, scanning things. I'm getting exercise. I'm getting out. Obviously all those things I don't do right now because it's the pandemic, and so I don't really want to be with a bunch of people.
Right.
But it's also the thrill of the hunt too.
Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh. Like every once in a while you find that like golden little nugget and you're like, this is no way. And it is a way. And you're like, yeah, I'm going to be rich. But okay, well, we're pretty much out of time. I have a quick announcement to make. And if you guys just like, are like, no, don't go, I need more, hurry and join 201 because we're heading over there next. So you still got a second. I'm such a great like salesperson. I'm like, buy 201. Okay, so quick announcement, Joe. So I don't know if you guys remember when Joe did the interview with, oh my gosh, Randy. And Randy was super awesome and he gave away lots of cool things and he gave away some 201 memberships. And then Joe decided to, give away 5 more memberships. Anyways, those winners are going to be announced tomorrow. Joe is going to do a live video sometime between 5 and 6 p.m. Eastern time. So be there and find out if you are going to be in our 201 group. So that's it. If you guys have any questions, leave them in the comments. We'll try and get back to them. Or like I said, you can come join 201. So thank you so much, Trevor. It's so great. Tell us the way they can find you. Like where can we find you? They want to stalk you.
So you can find me here on Facebook, Trevor MT. You can find me on Twitter at TMount. Those are the most places that I'm at right now. I don't really do the whole Clubhouse thing. I don't know if you guys do.
I'm trying to. It's not going well. But what about like Instagram, or do you still blog or anything like that at all?
So I don't blog. I haven't put a blog post up recently, but I do have taggingmiles.com or saverosity.com/taggingmiles. And we actually do have every day we get the changes of the portals via Cashback Monitor. So if you're into the portals, you can sign up for an email that'll tell you every day the changes. Increases, decreases. It's kind of like the frequent milers portal alerts, but he had to pull that down when they did an upgrade on their page, and so Seth Miller was able to help us get that
Awesome.
Working on Tagging Miles.
That's so awesome. Okay, well, thank you so much. It was so great to have you, and we will talk to you later, guys.
Thanks for